Welcome back to Exploring Distant Worlds. We are a few months further on, and we have a fleet sort of reset and enlarged as we intended, heading down here to deal with the Savage Sun, hopefully for good, at least in Endenur. So we've got 45 patrol frigates in there, over 4,000 firepower, almost twice as large as the previous fleet we had sent. We got marine frigates going along with that. Figure that should be sufficient. Still plenty of ships back here in Kerbis to reassign to other tasks. And then on the characters front, we also had an interesting development. There was a question after the last episode. Somebody's asking, have you really not gotten any new colony governors yet? And at that time, this was true. But we did get another one just recently, Wea Oseri, who is showing that we have a more and more cosmopolitan empire because they're a Bhaskaran. They're not in Akuro, as is everybody else on the list. So they were assigned to Akuro 1, and that's where I want them, our second best colony. And they are going to, I think, be pretty good, but we're going to have to wait and see because we don't know a lot yet. But colony income, trade income, population growth, all of that looking very promising for us. Now, I also want to do some moving about. Ubisak Sul, I'm going to transfer. I think our first war, at least the most likely scenario for it, is going to be with the Dervala Hive eventually. This is a ways in the future. But I'm going to transfer our ambassador over there to try to make sure that they remain calm. They're the second most powerful empire militarily behind ourselves. Their population is growing quickly. They are a warmongering type of species, being Gazurians. Everything points towards them being the biggest bad actor type of threat. So it's going to take over a year to transfer there from way on the left side of the galaxy. But I also want to set up one of our agents, if I can, in there, because now we're going to keep Yusan McCorder around, inspiring presence, boost all of our characters that are on Reese, but Sarabi continues to boost the concealment, which is best for deep cover, and I'd like to see that in action. Never going to be very good at counter-espionage or the other tasks, so if I want to have them do something, I think this is the best option. If they fail, then we simply hopefully get another agent who might be better at counter-espionage or something else that we want to use. So it seems to me to be a reasonable plan of action. 79% probability is not great, but I'm going to take the plunge. So we'll see how all of that turns out. Of course, this is the Dervala Hive right over here. Some elements to look at on the economic front as well. We are improving our Castellan supply, which is excellent, but I've actually gone ahead and even built a couple more stations that I have going out. I really want to boost this as much as possible because while our other resources are doing fine, with all of the ships that came back to refuel at Reese all at once, we actually briefly ran out of fuel there. And that looks strange because we have over 200,000, but it's widely distributed among various spaceports. We've got 6 of them now. We have various mining stations all over the place. So the fuel is so spread out that it actually is not that much on Reese itself if we take a look at that. And you can see I've got about 16,000 here free, and I would happily see that in the hundreds of thousands if we could. So we just want a whole bunch more to come in to make sure we don't have any more problems with that. Now we are on Akuro there, building the Trader's Bazaar, but it's got a long ways to go. We've just nicely gotten started, and of course that lower population, it's going to take longer to build that up. But it is in process. Hopefully we'll get that done before anybody else grabs that wonder. On the colonization side, we have now just finished our first spaceport in Karabia. There are no resource shortages there, so that's retrofitting. But I want to start expanding again, so grab our next colony. And up here at Urgashell is where I was going to go, but you see the Gindeni got there before us. So at this point, I think I would be saying this even if we didn't have the Way of the Ancient and a huge economic advantage. But especially since we do, I'm not so much interested in the best colonies per se in terms of our economy. I'm more interested in grabbing space first and keeping that space away from the enemy. So if we look at our potentials here and just sort by how far away they are. So again, obviously we've got this huge amount of them up over 4,000, 2 sectors away or more. We can't colonize any of those. We've still got quite a few though in the interim here that we can sort of work with. And this will, by nature, show anything that's either over 50% quality or anything that's under 50%, like Offix or Axiata. But has a boost in the system, a ruin of some kind on the planet. And then if we do low quality, it's just going to show them all. Yuck. We're not going to want any of those. Okay. So if we look around at what's available, like, first of all, we've got ones like this that are good quality and they're in systems we already control, but that's not going to expand our territory. We can fill out to those at any time. I want to go the territorial route. So if we were to look at, for example, okay, NARC, okay, that's down here. And then maybe some other good quality ones also down in that area. And there's this really big, like, there's a bunch of them that are down in this area. Like, it's got one there, and we've got one there. And if we keep going down, okay, hostile population, but you're over this way. And, okay, much further even down that way. See, 90%, okay, you're down here. The only one that's really in an area that I think we're going to want right away is this up here. We haven't got anything else going north. There's really nothing else in this area. That's Endo San. If we go to that colony, it's volcanic. There's a whole bunch of Shandar there, over 2 billion. And it's possible that we could colonize it, meaning it would be sort of hit or miss whether or not we would actually be able to colonize it or whether we'd have to send out more ships. So I'm actually building up a couple of extra colony ships at the moment just in case. But I want to send one of our ships there. And of course the idea here is that we would be able to block off, like, it would hold back the Shandar some here. It's a Shandar system, so you have to feel like they're going to be coming out here eventually. And if we could block off the Gindeni and hold them up in this area, at least contribute towards doing that. We could also potentially use this as a bridge to move out to some other areas further upwards in the galaxy that are out of our range right now. So all of those items would be good. This is one of those that we just don't want to take for its own benefit. It's only 55% quality, so it would basically be a break-even planet economically. But it's the grabbing of the territory and keeping it away from the rivals. That's important here. So we are going to send the Eager Prophet out that way. And we will see what happens as we have some more building up. And of course, our Ugnari ship is still returning. It's right over here. Back from the corner of the galaxy, so we don't even have that one available yet. Now, on the research front, we have some more items going on. Our total weapons research is going crazy. Almost 1 million here. We've got the Wantar Research Station up, so that's a massive bonus there. And we've got the Casidar Weapons Facility. And it's a good thing, because we have a whole ton of weapons to research as we are really getting into now this 4th tier. And we're actually going to add these two on. You see, like 17 of these projects. That's going to take a while. The one we just finished, though, is worth talking about a bit. Battlefield Sabotage. We can build a military academy, which we will be doing shortly, naturally on Reese. And we can do special forces. You can see the description there. But these are good for taking out enemy installations and also defending against enemy special forces. So anytime you're expecting to deal with an invasion attack against a fortified planet or defending one of your own, this is definitely a good thing to have on your side. So we'll be recruiting a few of these, but I don't think I'm going to be wanting to get a whole bunch just yet. I don't foresee any imminent conflict. Good to have them available, however, and then pretty much the rest of this is not going to be any new technologies. Boosting our defense of any infantry that we have, and boosting our planetary, defense units, and then their attack effectiveness there. And then just going on and, boosting a bunch of other weapons that we are not particularly using at the moment. But, of course, we did get tactical interceptors. And that is going to allow us to do carriers. So we'll be getting into those shortly as well. On the energy construction side, literally at the same time that came through, we got our next scale of construction, which fit well with my time frame. Now we're going to do a whole bunch of redesigns in a bit. And then we're going to, again, clear out the rest of these. Not very many left, but the rest of the Tier 4 items in this category. And over in High Tech and Industrial, almost done with Holographic Entertainment to boost our rec centers. And then we're going to be moving on to the Holographic Network, our next wonder. So from here, let's take a look at some design elements. And we literally redesigned every single ship and base that we have. I'm just going to look at a few of them here. But if we look at our Spaceport, for example, what is new here? Well, we have the quantum reactors. smaller, more efficient, better in every way than the previous reactors that we have. So those are now in place. We have the enhanced armor, which is almost twice as good as the original armor we had. Those ratings were 10 and 2 here. So that's all in place to give us better protection. We have the Deucalios shields, stronger than the previous Corvidian shields that we were using. And as we mentioned before, the Telassos have smaller strength but lower recharge rate. I want that initial strength for items like bases that are not going to be doing, hopefully, protracted, long-term fights, but merely fights that they want to be able to absorb the alpha strike from the enemy. So the largest upfront defense there. And then we've got our damage control, the repair bots, a couple of those on everything, and ion defense to deal with any enemy ion cannons, which I don't think I've seen any enemy ion cannons in action, but just in case they decide to go with it, we should be prepared against it. So very similar to this is the approach that we took pretty much with all of our bases, and we'll be getting all of those moved up to the new standard. Then on the ship side of things, take a look at a couple of elements here. First of all, let's look at our new combat frigate, the patrol frigate. Although we're just going to be retrofitting these, we're not going to be building a lot more because we're going to get into the carriers. We'll deal with those in a moment. But previously, our previous version of 400 size had just under 100 firepower. You see these up at 158, so they're much stronger. And essentially, I did similar things. I mean, these have ion defense. They have the new quantum reactors. They have damage control. I did put a couple of ion cannons on these to disable the enemy if we happen to be in any more large fights, as I'm sure it will be. Got the ion defense. And then I'm splitting up the shields. I've got some Deucalios and some Telassos, so some strength and some regeneration, balancing out the abilities of those. And of course, we moved up to the enhanced armor. And then we added another point defense cannon on these. I've added also a couple more rail guns and one more concussion missile. So just, basically spreading out the improvements, but adding in a lot of these fill-in items like the ion cannons, ion defense, damage control to really give us even more security and the ability to deal with any threat that might come up. But of course, the crowd pleaser here is the carrier. And the carriers are overpowered. There's just no nice way to say that. Focusing on the carriers can really trivialize the combat part of the game even more than we've already done it. I'm going to try to split between carriers and regular combat vessels, but essentially these are what you might think they are. They're big, 50% larger than a normal ship, so we can go up to 750 in size. They carry a bunch of strike craft, and that's about the size of it. So I could have used less engines, but I'm using my normal engine allotment, and as we go down here, you can see that, again, we've got our armor, we've got our shields, etc. We've got our energy collectors. Only 1 point defense. I could have possibly put more on there, but I wanted to get this final fighter bay on. So we have 6 of these fighter bays. You can see the capacity is 4. So each of these ships that we build can carry 24 strike craft. And by default, they will make them be half of the best bomber you have and half of the best fighter you have. You can micromanage that if you want a different arrangement. I'm not going to do that, but that is out there as a possibility. So once we get some of these into service, we'll get to see some of those controls and how they work in operation, and that should be a lot of fun. So if you will possibly excuse me for a moment, I have about 50 bazillion retrofitting orders to get set up, and I will not hold on with that on screen to bore you with it. The time has now come to bring justice to the Savage Sun in Endenur, but before we do that, I wanted to point out that I did put one of these hyper-deny weapons, just for the sake of doing it, on my command ships only. See, the range of 340 is part of this. You've got to be quite close to them for it to really work, and given how spread out ships seem to be during a fight, I could put it on all of our patrol frigates. I don't really feel like doing that. We fight quite a bit at long range, and one of the costs of that is simply that we're not going to be able to effectively use these a whole lot, I don't think. Maybe as we improve the tech, the range will get high enough that I'll make some adjustments, but for now, not really going to bother with that. And then our reputation a while back did get some boost up. It was satisfactory for a long time, but up to respectable now. We've killed enough pirates, honored enough agreements for long enough that we're starting to get a more positive reputation in the galaxy. And then, of course, we have our various bonuses down here. I've already noted the miners. We get the schemers from the Keterov. And so we are continuing to just gradually add more and more small advantages into what we're doing. So, here we are. Let's take a look and see what they send at us. Now, the overall report on their strength is that they were able to basically rebuild about a third of the ships that we destroyed last time. So they're weaker than they were before, but they have recovered some. Well, that's not good. A massive sinkhole on Urktun 3, extensive crustal collapse, entire cities plunging into vast underground pools of mud, and that doesn't sound like fun. Extensive loss of life, and it's damaged the quality of the planet itself. Okay, let's take a look at Urktun 3. Down to 104 million. I want to say it was 200 some before, perhaps. Yeah, and the quality's way down. It was in the 70s before. Now it's down to 52%. So, yuck. Yes, all kinds of yuck going on there. But I guess it can't all be good news. We'll just have to try to recover as best we can. Here they come. Let's see what we do this time. There's more of us and less of them, so it should go well. Looks like we're getting some gifts over here. Thank you. We will take your money. They want to sell us technology. We're not going to be actually buying technology. We're in the middle of retrofitting, and we've already used a few $100,000 to do it. We're going to use more upper credits, not dollars. But no, we're going to pass on that. Because actually, I think it's a lot better if you want to advance in tech, rather than buy it from them, just do the crash research idea. So that's what we'll do if we end up with a bunch of extra money. Of course, these are still the old design of ships. They were already en route when we did our redesign. Got one of them damaged, it looks like, but everybody's surviving. Probably going to capture a couple here. Wait for everybody to get done fighting. Okay. That looks pretty good. And we did lose one. Okay. Well. That is unfortunate. It was not our command ship, though. Okay. So let's come over here and say hello. And one of our... Not sure why you went over this way, but okay. In any case, let's go ahead and attack. We will have our command ship hang back per usual, and also send the Marines nearby as we typically do. Nope, we do not want your territory swaps. We can cancel a few of these. Recommendations. There we go. Have some more targets. Medium spaceport, almost 5,000 shields. This is a respectable spaceport. You can see some of our retrofitting completing. Some more cash, some more capturing, and away we go. All right. Well, let's take a look, first of all, at how much of them is left. Obviously, we know there isn't any more here, but... Okay. We knocked down about half, because they were at about 5,600 going into this. So, they have another pirate base, I'm sure, out there somewhere, and they're even more ticked off at us. But we've knocked them down. They shouldn't be a problem for a while. Of course, we'll want to move on and hit the black market cartel base here. Probably hit that one if we can. There is more work to be done. Let's see how we're doing up this way. We should be about to Endo San. Or perhaps we have failed. Do we have anything in our message log, I wonder, that I might have missed? Yes. Our attempt to colonize Endo San 1 has failed. The existing population repelled our attempt. So, we must send another ship out that way. And indeed, we will do that. And we're going to keep this up as much as is necessary until we get it or somebody else does. But the work will continue. Oh, have you gone back in here? You really like this planet, apparently, because, yes, you actually have the bounty hunter's lair of the Savage Gang. Well, there's lots more stuff to smash. Always more stuff for us to smash. But at the very least, we have a reprieve in any hostilities from the Savage Sun. Let's try our hand at colonizing Endo San again. Now, we have some visitors. We've got the Black Market Cartel here with a bit of an escort. Savage Sun have sent a cruiser along. How are you doing, fine fellows? And the Gandeni Corp has an escort in this area as well. Our ship should be able to handle those. Let's see what happens with this as we try to land. Yep. More fighting happening. And we made it this time. Excellent. Existing population of Shandor is joining our empire. Let's zoom out here. See what we're looking at. Okay. And interestingly, for the moment, it just barely puts Venturini within our orbit. Somebody's there. Let's see who that is. This appears to be... Okay, it's a mining station of the Ancient Guardians. But this is another planet we could capture. And it was not within our range before, but now it is. We may, in fact, I think I'm going to want to prioritize getting this one as well. Partly because if we look at our overall comparison, that's a continental planet. We're now up to 7, just behind the Ryluth Consortium, who's there in first. But we are not doing so hot on continental colonies anymore. You can see we only have 18% of the galaxy total there on the right. So definitely want to try to up that total as much as we can. Having a couple in this area really would be nice for us. Now, meanwhile, we are also down here in Brintal dealing with a black market cartel, and they actually have 2 small spaceports in this system. They have a total of 6 that we know about, but the rest are in other places. So this is going to be a nice blow against them, but it is actually not going to do that much in the grand scheme. We've knocked down a fair number of their ships. There was a pretty good battle here. It wasn't anything like the ones against the Savage Sun, but we definitely did some damage. And lots of things blowing up. There we go. And we have a new ship captain. Let's take a look at them. Kupi Eskari. That's our 3rd ship captain. Might want to start shifting those around. Is an inspiring presence, but also smuggling evasion. That's not too exciting. I think I might want to put them on the same ship as my admiral, just to maybe boost the admiral's stats. That might be a reasonable idea. So in any case, our expansion continues, and we've also finished retrofitting all of our other ships. So we're going to be sending out another fleet soon. We've got a new pirate base cropping up here. We'll whack a couple of those out. And we'll see where else we can possibly grab more territory when we come back. So I think it's safe to say the land grab fully underway now in Distant Worlds. More adventures continuing soon. Thanks for watching.